My name is James Hobbs, and I'm an instructor of geology at Tarrant County College, Northwest Campus.
Hi, I'm Greta Bowling, and I am a professor of biology at the Northwest campus of Tarrant County College.
And today we'll be talking with you about fostering a culture of environmental awareness and promoting change through place-based learning.
To start, we will discuss our purpose, history, goals, structure, and our collective community impact.
Right, and given today's climate between climate disruption, human consumption, population growth, and decline in biodiversity, humanity is causing the rapid erosion of Earth's ability to sustain its life support systems. With this in mind, we really wanted to know how we as educators can bring about meaningful change, and how can we reach students to inspire a better tomorrow. So in other words, what can we do to encourage awareness of the interconnectedness between our students and the problems we face as a society? So we believe that bridging that gap can begin in our communities.
It reminds us of a passage by Aldo Leopold, and he wrote, "The problem, then, is how to bring about a striving for harmony with land among a people many of whom have forgotten there is any such thing as land, among whom education and culture have become almost synonymous with landlessness. This is the problem of conservation education. Landlessness, as described in this quote, can be defined in two ways. One, a literal loss of places wild and free, and two, a figurative loss of our collective awareness of and admiration for the land. We acknowledge that we have our work cut out for us. Environmental and scientific literacy is on the decline. For example, an adult may recognize thousands of brands and logos, but fewer than 10 native plants and animal species."
Right, right. And we believe with our program, we can develop a culture of environmental awareness by creating a generation of informed land leaders to help solve the pressing issues we face as a society. So by leveraging the community as a living classroom, we can engage students and promote meaningful learning through authentic experiences.
But before we get into the nuts and bolts of our program, we would like to share a bit about how we got here. In the sciences, we have seen the benefits of hands-on learning. It's one of the many reasons why we have labs as part of traditional curriculum, but we wanted more for our students.
Yeah, we wanted to create an immersive experience that would not only familiarize the students with the sciences, but to allow them to transform scientific theories into practical applications and increase their environmental awareness and admiration for the outdoors.
Right. So in early 2012, we recognized that we had underutilized spaces on our Northwest campus that we could potentially restore to native prairie habitat. This could also serve as an outdoor learning environment. After many conversations and formal presentations, TCC board members acknowledged the need and offered their support in the way of setting aside an area on Northwest campus for restoration efforts. And this area was approximately 5 acres. And these efforts to restore this area started happening back in 2015. So in the image of the before picture there, you can see just kind of like a blank space or some cars parked there. That's the area that we're talking about. And so through our restoration, we made many friends with community groups as we sought advice for best practices.
And then simultaneously, we began looking for ways to create a sustainable program that would have the most impact on our student population. So partnering with the Marine Creek Collegiate High School on Northwest Campus made the most sense for us, and the administrative support and interest from the high school enabled us to create the program in the fall of 2017.
Part of the requirements of the program is that the students are enrolled in college classes. So the following demographics are of the high school students who were enrolled in at least one college course. There were 377 students enrolled in college coursework at the end of the fall 2020 semester.
Yeah, and the percentages of the early collegiate high school students, they accounted for roughly about 4% of the total student population here at the Northwest campus. And then of those students, the male student percentages are much lower than the percentage of female students. And then the Hispanic and Latino students, they comprise the largest ethnic group of the high school students. And this data really reflects roughly the demographics of the students who participate in the Marine Creek Land Scholar program. And this data to us, it shows us that we really have this opportunity to help begin bridge equity gaps in STEM of historically underrepresented student populations.
Research indicates that student engagement declines as students progress from upper elementary grades to middle school, reaching their lowest levels in high school.
Yeah, and then here we'll define students that are fully engaged as the ones who ask questions and answer questions in class, and they participate in extracurricular activities and are eager to learn. And when we think of student engagement, it's this term that's used across most learning environments, but it doesn't really have this finite definition. So just as educators have difficulty pinpointing its exact meaning, student engagement is still a struggle for many schools to implement fully into their educational system.
And unfortunately, methods that worked in the past aren't motivating our country's youth today. So studies estimate that by the time students reach high school, 40 to 60% are disengaged. So then the question becomes, how exactly do we get students engaged? One such way we have found is through place-based learning. Before formal education, the great majority of children learn within the context of their families, neighborhoods, and communities as they watched, listened to, and emulated adults explore the natural and human-made world and interacted with one another.
Yeah, and place-based learning is designed to connect what students are taught in the school to real-world challenges, opportunities, and connections. Learning experiences match the complexities of real life and taught through an integrated, interdisciplinary, and frequently project-based approach where all learners are accountable and challenged. So the principles of place-based learning, it turns out, maybe some of the ways we might already use to teach inside the classroom, and these might include local to global context, learner-centered, inquiry-based, design thinking. There's also community as a classroom and interdisciplinary approaches.
Our program utilizes these principles to serve as the pillars for our framework upon which we build out lesson plans, activities, and learning opportunities. We also work off the assumption that science education can occur everywhere and at every moment. Place-based education seeks to connect students to the region of study, provide cultural and/or geographic context to lessons, and usually involves outdoor education methodologies. It is an approach that connects learning and communities together with the primary goals of increasing student engagement, boosting academic outcomes, impacting communities, and promoting understanding of the world around us.
Right. And we believe using approaches that seek to draw lessons from local lenses and apply them to a broader context and applications where the regions, human communities, and the ecosystems would stand to elevate students' sense of social belonging, academic skills and attitudes, and academic performances in gateway courses, leading to an overall improved student persistent and narrowed equity gaps. So, in this way, place based education can provide a potential mechanism for students in unfamiliar settings to gain more regional familiarity and better recognize unique aspects and parallels between lessons learned in the classroom with the community and the rest of the world.
Learning communities have a positive effect on student outcomes for students most at risk of not graduating, including improving their persistence in STEM.
Right.
Which brings us to our program, the Marine Creek Land Scholars. The Marine Creek Land Scholars is a collaborative partnership between Marine Creek Collegiate High School and Tarrant County College.
And the goals of the program are really to connect learning and community together and expand the dialogue of environmental awareness and promote student centered learning by taking that interdisciplinary approach to engage the students with.
Collaborative partnerships are not just the interactions between students and faculty. Rather, it involves students, faculty, staff, and off-campus community partners, including professional scientists, local and environmental restorations groups, such as Texas Parks and Wildlife and Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge. Here in these images, you can see students interacting with these entities. In the top image, you can see some students working with Texas Parks and Wildlife on an electrofishing activity. In the bottom image, you can see students working with an individual from Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge learning about native plants.
And then another focus of the program is really on developing team building skills and environmental problem solving and public speaking that moves away really from this teacher centered approach towards a student centered curriculum. And here we just have a few of our land scholars. They are mentoring other students that are in the lower cohorts and kind of guiding them throughout their journey.
The program provides students with research opportunities in various fields of science to include horticulture and ecology. Additionally, we seek to incorporate elements from other disciplines that support public speaking, scientific writing, and cultural history as it relates to our region.
And then it's this interdisciplinary approach is really this immersive STEM experience for students who might not otherwise be exposed to such activities through an integrated curriculum and hands-on activity. So just a little bit, this picture up on the top left is the students engaging in this quail necropsy. And then on the bottom right, they're doing soil sampling, which ultimately leads to their capstone.
Let us not forget that how we engage the student is just as important as the content. With teacher efficacy being interlinked to student outcomes, school leaders must be progressive in creating learning environments that are not only new and exciting, but also offer values which are relevant to the needs of students. In the images that you see here, we have students involved with service learning projects at Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge in Fort Worth, Texas, and we're also exposing them to other activities that they may not previously have been exposed, like archery.
Right, right. And then the program structure is designed to scaffold previously learned skills to foster their scientific curiosity and promote scientific literacy. So the program, as they begin as freshmen, we expose the entire class to basic water and soil data collection and analysis techniques. And then they apply, and once their applications are accepted to enter the program, sophomores receive a keystone quote that will serve as a way for them to each engage uniquely with the community.
And this is where their journey truly begins. Once a member, they begin to participate in service learning projects with community nature centers, as well as assist in the collection of data alongside entities like Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, as seen previously. During the Land Scholars junior year, we continue to build upon their experiences by introducing such activities as quail necropsy and evaluating the importance of indicator species.
And then in addition to that, the juniors they begin research on their senior class project, which starts in the spring of their junior year, and then they follow that. They continue that forward into their senior year, and then as seniors, the land scholars they complete the analysis of their research project and present it to local community members such as the Native Prairie Associations of Texas and other various stakeholders that we've partnered with.
Starting spring 2020, we began offering a capstone course for the senior cohort titled Environmental Biology. The course, which is part of the TCC core curriculum, was designed to familiarize students with the skills required to be successful in STEM, as well as demonstrate the role STEM has in addressing scientific and environmental issues.
And then at the end of their senior year and upon completion of their associate's degree, land scholars may apply for a scholarship issued by the land scholar leadership team. And this that past year, we were very excited this past spring to have awarded the 2 scholarships to our first graduating class that's gone through the whole cohort program. So, in closing, we strive really to elevate our scholars' sense of social belonging, communication skills, attitudes, and academic performance, leading to improved student persistence and narrowed equity gaps. And then we believe with this program that we have created that we can create agency for change and foster a culture of environmental awareness.
We aim to familiarize students with experiences outside the confines of the classroom as we continuously seeking opportunities to enrich the program through adding more service learning projects with new community partners, as well as to connect our scholars with relevant externship and internship prospects. Here you can see our contact information in hopes that we can make more connections with the community around us.
Yes. And then in closing, so we would like to thank everyone for their time today, especially Dallas College and Trax for allowing us the opportunity to talk about our program.
We would also like to thank our many community partners, other members of leadership team, as well as Fort Worth ISD and Tarrant County College.
And last but not least, a big thank you to the group of land scholars that make all of this possible.
We will leave you to view some of the direct quotes from our current land scholars, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.